Hello again and welcome to my 6th YouTube video. My name's Philip, also known as Pipstitch and Pipstitch1 on Instagram. It's been a while since I recorded my last video again. I said I wouldn't leave it so long and I have. No particular reason for that other than I've only been working on one piece really, so I didn't think there would be much merit in recording a video when I didn't have a great deal to show. But I decided that I would show some of the other things that I've got in the pipeline to stitch, if that's of interest to you. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't suppose it's going to be a very long video. We'll see. So the one thing I've been working on, if you've been following me on Stitch Mania or Instagram or Heaven and Earth, the new Heaven and Earth Designs Facebook page, you'll know what's coming up. It's my pièce de résistance. Here we go, The Country Mouse and the City Mouse by Scott Gustafsson, charted for Heaven and Earth Designs. I didn't mean to carry on stitching this to the extent that I have been stitching it, but it's just so much fun and I'm getting so close, in my estimation, to a finish. There's a fair bit of progress since you last saw it on YouTube. The last time I showed this on YouTube, I was still working on Mousey number 1. As you can see, I've now got 2 mice concluded. Mousey number 2 was finished off just last week and I've made a start on the next page here as well. So I've done all the gridding now, which took quite a few hours to do to get all the gridding in, but worth doing, I think, because it's making it so much easier to do the cross-country method of stitching, which I've fallen in love with. Mousey number 2 was a bit of a nightmare in some respects. What I'm finding with this chart is that anything that's in a lighter colour that matches the colour of the fabric quite expectedly is really quite difficult to stitch. It's very difficult to see where the stitches are going in, so you look at it sometimes and it doesn't feel like you've put anything in at all. So he was quite fiddly, and that waistcoat, gorgeous though it is, was very, very fiddly as well. So as a page it took quite a little bit of time, but I had a fortnight's holiday off, so I made a reasonable amount of progress quite quickly with the head here, and then obviously I've been working on it since then as and when I've been able to. I hope you can hear me okay behind this. I'm sorry, it's getting too big now. In actual fact, you can't even see it all because it carries on, whoops, it carries on a little bit higher up anyway. As you can see, it, the neck of the teapot carries on a bit higher than that, so it's going to be quite a big piece. This represents a bit of a milestone. I can't do this. This represents a bit of a milestone because it's the last full page, which, because I've started it now, I have no full pages left to go. This page carries on to here. Well, you can see actually this is the edge of the page, where I've put a few stitches in at the bottom here that's in the same colour as this chunk here. So this is only a partial page, and then everything after that is also a partial page because, yeah, it's not a full page row at the bottom. So I'm hoping that progress might be a little bit quicker on those last pages. You're never going to see it, although the gridding thread is glinting like crazy. I don't expect for a minute that you're going to be able to see that there's some Krennic thread in Mousey's cravat. Is that what you call that? A cravat? I'm never sure. It's probably got a very posh name. But it's really, really pleasing. I've really fallen in love with these guys. And yeah, I can't wait to get it finished. So I'm sure you can, well, possibly see why. I just want to keep going with this. I want to get it finished. And the remaining pages aren't as complicated. I mean, the single most complicated pages clearly have been this, this and this. This, you can see, I mean, all of this was one colour. So it's getting very blocky in the colours now. You can already see the negative shape of the teapot here. And this is the edge of a plate, which you can see up here reflected in the teapot. So it's really coming on. It's very, very satisfying to work on, and to have seen the progress on these mice is super. I'm sorry I can't get all this in without, I'm all over the place with this. I did mention in my last video that I'd not got round to naming the mice. It hadn't even occurred to me to name the mice. So I threw out a bit of a question and said, what did people think they should be called? And I had quite a few responses to that. I've considered everybody's responses, and I think what the names of the mice are going to be is, this is going to be Rufus the country mouse, and the city mouse is now known as Lord Percival Fauntleroy. Lord Percival Fauntleroy, Percy to his friends. So that's everybody really, because he's quite a friendly chap. All the time that I've been looking at this and getting ready to stitch the mice, I've always favoured Rufus as being the mouse that I preferred, and yet now I've stitched him up, I think Percy has the edge. I really do. I think he's looking very dandy and very fine there. So it's great. There we go. So all I can say is that is the one thing that I've been stitching on, but I did just do a little recap on my last video before I started to record this one, just to remind myself where I'd got to with it, and I've quite impressed myself with the progress that I've made in those last few weeks. So it does pay dividends to keep on with something. I know rotations are great, and I've succumbed to rotations myself, but my view is that if you're really enjoying stitching something, why would you enforce a rotation on yourself? Because everything's going to get finished eventually, whether you do it by rotation or you do it one piece at a time. So my view is that for as long as I'm enjoying doing this, I'll keep on with it, I think. So that's the plan. I'd love to start something new. Everybody enjoys a new start. It's very exciting to put the first few stitches into a new piece. But I really do want to get this done and framed and on the wall, really. I've not been very good at keeping records of when I've started things and when I've finished things, thinking I'll remember that, and of course you don't. So I have no idea now when I started this piece. I suspect it was in 2015. I think it was in 2015, but obviously I've not been working on it solidly in that time. I have done quite a few other things as well in that time. Sorry if there's some noise outside, there's just some rowdy people going past. So, I thought I would show off my one piece of haul that I've bought since the last video, and then I would start to fess up my dirty secrets and the number of kits that I have in my stash waiting to be started. It's quite shameful really, but I'm sure I'm not alone. So the one thing I bought off eBay that arrived a couple of weeks ago, very exciting. I'm going to mention her name once in this video, which is Theresa Wenzler again. This popped up on eBay, and I didn't think I stood a snowflake's chance in hell of getting it, because it's a limited edition pattern that Theresa Wenzler designed for the Fantasy Fair in 2005. It's never been available commercially. It's not available on Patterns Online, and as far as I can see, there doesn't appear to be any intention to make it available online. So there were 1,000 of these things printed. They were all numbered and individually signed by Theresa Wenzler, and this popped up on eBay in the UK a few weeks ago. So I put a bid on it thinking it's not going to happen, and it happened, and it's here. So here it is. It's called You Were Hatched. It's not my favourite Theresa Wenzler by a long stretch of the imagination, but it's a limited edition signed Theresa Wenzler that I wouldn't stand a chance of getting under any other circumstances other than buying it in the way that I have. So my copy is number 804 of 1,000. There's her signature. So I was very excited. I paid the princely sum of £8.50 for this, so really not very much at all. Very excited. When it arrived, and I'm just going to do this very quickly, that's it. That's it. It's a piece of cardboard, basically. It's a piece of cardboard. The pattern's on the chart's on the back, the pattern's on the front, and that's it. But I think it's a little piece of history, and yeah, I'm really pleased that I've got this. So it seems to be a fairly standard kind of Theresa Wenzler pattern. There's some blended threads going on here. It did call for a Dinky Dye Silk Fantasy Blues that again had been released, I believe, at this fair. So it was a limited, well, I don't think it was a limited edition thread because you can still buy it, but it was a thread launched at this fair and which was used. I think it's used in the borders here. So it's quite sweet, and it's mine. It's mine for £8.50. So that's on the Theresa Wenzler pile. If anybody's interested in seeing, I mean, this is a bit of a trial now because, as I say, I have nothing else to show other than haul. But if anybody's interested in me going through my shamefully large Theresa Wenzler collection, please just comment or let me know and I'll happily do that. Yeah, I don't think I have enough years left to do the number of patterns that I've got. And I have really slowed down on the haul buying. I mean, as I say, that's it for the whole period of time since I last recorded. So I'm getting better. So what I thought I'd show off today were some kits and one book that I bought, a bit of a quick flip through on a book. So I thought I'd do my Riolis and Luca S kits today. So I'll just show those off. Yeah, Riolis I think is brought up quite often on FlossTube and online. A lot of people seem familiar with Riolis, who are a Russian-based company and who tend to use quite thicker yarns, not like thread, more tapestry yarny type stuff, I believe. So I've got a couple of those kits. I bought this in a sale from Hobbycraft quite a while ago now. I'm going to have glare problems. There we go. It's Van Gogh's Starry Night. There are various permutations of this pattern available. You can get it as a pattern. I believe you can get it on Heaven and Earth Designs. I think other kit producers also have their own variation on it. It's a lovely image. I really do like this image very much. So I bought that cost me £20 in the sale at Hobbycraft here in the UK. I did open this, I think. I'll show you very briefly. These are the threads that it comes with. They feel incredibly soft actually, but I don't know. I've never worked with them. I haven't even worked out yet whether you use one strand or two or what you do with them. Little sample of colours there, but they're really soft, and yeah, maybe somebody can tell me what their experience of working with the Riolis kit is, just so that I'm forewarned. So that's Starry Night. The other Riolis kit that I picked up, again, was sort of in a sale. Amazon were having one of their Christmas, I don't know what do they call them, where something's launched and it's available for about 2 hours and then it disappears, or the stock goes in and it disappears. And I was quite intrigued by the image, so I bought it. It's called something in Russian. There we go. It's a lady with a parasol in sepia tones. Yeah. Anyway, it's quite charming, isn't it? So we'll see. And so obviously all the threads in here. Oh gosh, I'm not going to get all those out, but they're all shades of beige and brown and cream and white and everything you'd expect to see in a sepia picture. And there's a lot of thread in here, so we'll see. The finished design is 10¼ by 15 inches. It's quite big, and I think it's full coverage, so that's quite a beast of a project. So we'll see if I want to do that at any point in time. The book that I have to show actually isn't cross stitch, it's tapestry, but I'm sure I can convert tapestry to cross stitch. It's only the same principle. And I found this in a little antique shop. It's called Tapestry Cats and Dogs. And some of these are very whimsical. absolutely charming. And the thing that made me buy this book was, why would anyone not want to stitch cats and dogs doing three-legged races? How adorable is that? So, as I say, they're designed in here using tapestry threads and tapestry. Oh, mind you, that says Anchor DMC, but the chart is just a chart like any other chart. So I absolutely believe that I can turn that into a cross stitch. There's some great. I don't know how easy it would be to track this book down. It's printed by David and Charles. I picked it up, as I say, second hand in an antique shop for £5. So I don't know if it's still commercially available. If you like this, it's, yeah, they're so charming. There's some other cats here that you sort of make. I suppose you could almost make doorstops out of those, but they're rather cute. And there was a great, if I can find it, they're a bit chintzy and twee, but there they are. Some more kittens there. There was rather of, oh, we have a buccaneer cat. Fab. And there's a gorgeous, if I can find it, there's some great designs in this. I was really taken with this for a sort of a 20s design as well. A bit more of an Art Deco feel to this one, of a lady with her lurcher. So, loving some of the designs in here. There's a little rows of cats and dogs here, kittens and puppies. How cute, very cute. So it's a great book. It's a great book. I haven't done anything out of it yet. I bought it and thought, we'll see. There's sort of a bit more of an arty dog there. After the manner of Stubbs, apparently. George Stubbs, famous English animal painter. And a penny farthing clock. Dog on a penny farthing. Whose life is complete without this kind of image in their lives? I don't know. Tapestry cats and dogs. There we go. Oh, before I get onto the Luca S, I've been asked about Chatelaines, because I think I'd mentioned that I'd bought a Chatelaine, and I've been asked which one I'd bought. I only bought one of the cheaper ones because I really wasn't sure whether it was something that I wanted to do or would be any good at doing because of the number of specialty stitches. I'm not a specialty stitch aficionado yet, so we'll see. I'm just going to get this out of the wrapper, and I think I've made an error with this anyway by buying it as a paper chart, because it seems to be that PDF is the way to go with these things, but I'm in it now, so we'll see. This is a mandala garden. It's number 3, the water garden. So there we go. It's rather beautiful. There were a couple of reasons for buying this one. I bought the chart off so-and-so. Of the ones that I looked at, because these things are scarily expensive to buy with all the specialty threads that are required and the beads and so forth. This, of any of them, it was a relatively cheap chart and it had relatively few specialty threads. So I bought the threads with some birthday money. I think this is the sum total of the specialty threads. Whoops, glary bag again. So there's some water lilies and there's some other silks in here. The silks are so soft, it's untrue. They're absolutely gorgeous. You just want to spend all your time just rubbing them over your face because they're so gentle and soft compared to DMC, which now seems incredibly scratchy. The call for fabric was just Belfast linen, so this is 32 count Belfast linen, huge piece of linen there. So it's all kitted up and ready to go in my little zipper bag. When? I don't know. It scares me a bit, I'll be honest. it's the thought of all those specialty threads, which clearly I'm going to have to sort of be practicing before I commit to the pattern itself. And I don't know how I'm going to get on with the chart, because having examined it, the print quality is not brilliant. It's quite dark, so I don't know. If anyone has any experience of working on a chatelaine using a paper chart that's in any way positive to give me some optimism and hope on this, please let me know. Or if you've had any experience with chatelaines at all, let me know how you get on, particularly with the specialty stitches, which scare me. Anyway, so that's my chatelaine. The other thing that I am going to show off is my Luca S patterns kits. Luca S, like I just said earlier, it doesn't seem to get much of a mention in the world of FlossTube and Stitch Mania and Instagram, and I don't know why, because the kits are absolutely beautiful. I think Ingeborg has done a Luca S kit. Ingeborg, you will correct me if I'm wrong, but was it not the case that your lady with a pearl earring was a Luca S cross stitch kit? I think it was. So I've got 4 of these. Oh, I've got some more kits to show off as well. The first one that I bought, sorry for the crackle and the crinkle, I haven't opened all of them just because there was no point, because I wasn't doing them straight away. So the first one I bought was an image of St. George. Now, these aren't actually cross stitch. These are point stitch, which is cross stitch. Well, it's tent stitch. I think the recommended way of doing these is tent stitch. So it's just cross stitch or tent stitch on a very, very small scale. So the finished piece of this kit is 20 by 25 centimeters, so not big, not very big at all. You can buy them as cross stitch kits as well. These worked out cheaper, and I do like, having worked for so long on small with my Heaven and Earth design, I do quite like working with small patterns, certainly while my eyesight's able to stand them. So this is St. George. Oh, this is stunning, isn't it? What a fantastic image. Yeah, I assume it's some kind of medieval painting. I'm not sure. It's not an image I was familiar with before I found this kit, but I love this image. So there's St. George defeating the dragon. There's a bit of, I assume that's Cyrillic at the top there. I assume that's what it is. So I really ought to look up a little bit more about Luca S to see, you know, where they're based and what they are really, because these kits are great. I bought my Luca S kits from a UK website called Marie's Cross Stitch, and they worked out really good value for money. Yeah, they were great. So I bought a few because they were having a bit of a sale on, and I thought I'll get them while I can. There are some others that I just love the look of that I may succumb to. The way they're presented is great. This is all the threads on the back, so beautifully wrapped on these little spools, and you can see that we've got easy count I don't know if that's even weave or Ada. I don't suppose it matters. It's not a big piece, so I think that's indicative of how small this is going to be when it's done, but that's great because I do love small intricate patterns. So that was St. George, which was the first one that I bought, and I had no intention of buying others, to be honest. I sort of wanted to trial that one out, but then I saw this one and I couldn't resist it. This is called Miranda. This is a very famous painting, and again there are various companies that produce this image. I think Heaven and Earth Designs again have their variant on this. This is Miranda from The Tempest, watching the Tempest, really. There's the shipwreck at the very beginning of the play, and obviously Miranda watching the storm before she appeals to Prospero to stop and not to kill anybody. So Miranda's looking beautiful with her red hair there. So that was the second one that I bought. Again, beautifully presented. This one is a little bit bigger, 34 by 24. That I can't, I don't know what the count of this fabric is. It's teeny tiny. There's my official phrase, it's teeny tiny stitch count. Really small. I assume this is also a Russian company, I'm not sure. But anyway, there we go. And this is Anchor thread, by the way. So Anchor rather than DMC. But again, this wasn't expensive, really, for the quality of the kit. I think it was just over, was it about £25, something like that. So that's Miranda. And then I found these two. I'd had my eye on this for a while and thought, go on, why not? In for a penny. This is St. Nicholas. Now, I'm not a religious person at all, so I don't know why this appeals, but I do quite like iconography, and it was just the colours really on this that popped. That is just such a gorgeous image. So you could argue it's Christmassy because it's St. Nicholas. It doesn't look very Christmassy to me. I'm gonna just go with it's just a beautiful work of art. There we go. So that was St. Nicholas. He is 27 by 30. They're getting bigger. Again, same easy count fabric, same teeny tiny stitch count. And there are the colours in that one. You can tell they've obviously gone to trouble here because, you know, we've got the right amounts for each thread. So really well thought out kits. And then the last one that I bought, which I think I'm quite lucky to have got this. When I ordered St. Nicholas, I ordered this one as well. This one's called Stefan Chelmare. And it took ages to arrive, and Marie's Cross Stitch kept apologising and saying they were having problems getting hold of it. Despite the fact that it had been advertised on their website, it took weeks to arrive, and the minute mine arrived, it went off their website, and I've never seen it anywhere since. So somebody may know that there's another place to get it. I haven't seen it since. This made me think of Macbeth, but I think it's some kind of Soviet or Eastern European ruler. He's fantastic, isn't he? And this is obviously symbolic of something, so I really need to look up this chap. That said, I think I did at the time when I got it, and I can't remember who he is. He might be Polish or Russian or Romanian, but he's very imposing. Love the colours on it, and yeah, I thought that was great. So and again, there we go. There's the colours on the back, and this one is a bit smaller again, 20 by 26. Just loved that image. And as I say, I think I'm really lucky to have got hold of this because I haven't found it anywhere since. So they are all point stitch rather than cross stitch, which is basically tent stitch, I think. I'm not sure if Ingeborg's was tent stitch because that was the piece that she used to demonstrate tent stitch when I was being ignorant about tent stitch, thinking it was just half stitch. So I might go back to her video and just look at her techniques of how she did those. Because this is expecting it to be point stitch, tent stitch, I think they'll only have given me enough thread to do it in that prescribed format, so I don't want to risk doing full crosses and running out of thread with any of those kits. So I hadn't appreciated I'd bought 3 more kits down, if you can stand to look at 3 more kits. These were just a find on eBay. I have no idea. I think they're homegrown kits. They are, well, they're headed up Lindisfarne. I found them on eBay. There were 3 of them. They were about £8 each. They are produced by the National Railway Museum. And this kit is from 1999. So they were quite cheap. I bought all 3 together. And they represent the seasons. And they are those gorgeous old style advertising hoardings from the 30s and whatnot. So I've got summer, which is beautiful, and I know I keep saying I don't think this is going to take very long. I don't think this is going to take very long because it's very blocky colours. I think it would stitch up quite quickly. There's certainly not going to be a lot of confetti or faffing around with different colours of threads. There's certainly the first chunk that I've looked at on the chart is all very blocky colours, which is what you'd expect from an image like this. So this image is 8.5 inches by 14 inches. so fairly standard size. Again, it came with, I think that's 14 count. I think that's 14 count Ada, and quickly, all the threads came on pre-printed thread cards. Couldn't be easier. Gorgeous colours in this, really zingy colours, which is what you'd expect. So that was summer, which is some hay baling by the looks of it, some hay baling. Then I've got autumn, which is, oh no, because that's also hay baling, so I'm wrong, but there's autumn. Sorry. Shall I? I'll just get this out. It's got to be easier, hasn't it? So these were so cheap and so charming. There we go. There is autumn. What does that say? Conducted rambles. You don't get conducted rambles in this day and age. So there's autumn. Much more autumny colours. Again, all the threads, all the pattern, it's the same size. Yes, so these should all frame up nicely together as a little trio, unfortunately, because the only other one that I could get hold of was spring. There didn't seem to be a winter option available. I might keep my eye out and see if anything does show up. But here is spring with some ploughing. So there's a couple of cart horses ploughing the fields, and that says, oh, that says conducted rambles as well. So they were obviously advertising campaigns for conducted rambles, and these are for the spring ones, and the months are cited below here. And yeah, there we go. So I don't know if you can still get them. I found them, as I say, on eBay. I've not seen them since. I just bought them, didn't honestly expect to win them, and got all three of them for, what would that be, about 25 quid, which was a bit of a steal. I mean, the thread alone, you know, they give you, ooh, look at all this green. They give you oodles of thread. So there's plenty to go out with those. So that really was just a bit of a whiz round my those kits. So that's Lindisfarne, Luca S and Riolis. I can do similar things with Dimensions. I've got some of the Disney Dreams kits, my Theresa Wenzler collection. If it's of interest, if anyone would like to see what has sparked my interest before now, I will happily do that. At some point I should hopefully have more to show as a whip parade than just one piece. I am toying with starting something new as well, although I do have another two. Well, I've got my Chatelaine spring sampler, I've got my Theresa Wenzler peacock, and I'm also doing the Theresa Wenzler 12 Days of Christmas. So there are three things on the go really, so I don't know how many things I want in the mix at any one time. So that's all I had to show you really. I just wanted to say a big well done and hurrah to everybody that went on the US floss tube retreat. It looked absolutely wonderful. I think we were all so jealous, and it was like a hall of fame to see all those people that we know so well all in a room at the same time and having group photos taken. It was great fun to follow what you were doing. Ingeborg, oh, umpteenth mention, sorry Ingeborg, you'll be thinking I'm stalking you, has mentioned in her last video maybe we should think about a Euro floss tube retreat. I think that's a great idea because there are so many of us over here as well, across Europe and in the UK and Ireland. I'm sure we could come up with something. I have found out recently from Orietta that I live literally a stone's throw from one of the UK Haid retreats. I had no idea that I could virtually walk to the hotel where the Haid retreat takes place. So I've joined the Mad Hatters Facebook group with a view possibly to getting involved in that. It would be nice to actually meet up with some people and yeah, take this hobby a little bit further. It's been great to get to know people through FlossTube and make friends. That's been a real joy, a real positive aspect of this whole FlossTube Stitch Mania thing is how much it's brought this community together, and it shrinks the world. So, you know, I have friends who I communicate with all over the world now, which is a remarkable thing. So that's good. So yeah, I may think about a Haid retreat. I don't think I'd be stopping in the hotel. It really wouldn't be worth me paying for the accommodation, because I could virtually walk home every night, but I could certainly pay as a day guest and be there for each of the days that it was on. Sorry, there's going to be a ambulance or something about to go past. Ambulance. So there we go. I will hopefully make another Lost Tube video sooner rather than later, with more progress on the mice. I'm hoping at the rate that I'm stitching this next row is going to be finished certainly before Christmas. I'd like to think that I could have done that, and I'm hoping that this is going to be a complete finish early in the new year. That's my resolution at the moment, is to just really plough on with it and hope that I can keep going with it. I hope this has been entertaining. I know it's a bit different from what I've done in the past. I was conscious of just, you know, getting something out there, and I honestly thought it would be about 10 minutes, and here I am at 35. It's not much shorter than one of my usual videos. So thanks for your patience, thanks for your comments again, thanks for all your support. It's absolutely wonderful to be part of this community, and I will hopefully see you again very soon. Bye for now.